Yeah, so just going over us and who we are from the Financial Wellness Center. So, our mission is to financially empower students with the knowledge needed to make sound financial decisions during and after college. So, our team is pretty much here for you guys, and Jordy will go over a lot of stuff that we do too.
Yeah. So, firstly, let's talk about what we're about. The big five, right? And this is just kind of a more specific way to address what's in our mission statement. So the big five are earning, spending, borrowing, protecting, and saving and investing. So earning, spending and borrowing, which goes to student loans, kind of managing your income and outcome, or income and outflow, and knowing how much you should really plan on spending during just life as a whole or the holidays, or preparing yourself for future financial success credit wise. And then we can also talk about if you want to learn more about how to protect yourself from identity fraud, and or maybe just some good investment strategy, or basics of investing. We can talk about that too. So there's a whole range of things we can talk about.
Yeah, I know a few of you just joined us. We're just going ahead and covering what the Financial Wellness Center is and what we do as peer financial coaches. So a lot of that is workshops, which is we're so grateful that you guys are attending right now. We have a few more coming this term, so stay on the lookout for those. We'll share the information at the end. We also do one-on-one financial coaching. So virtual for now, but this is still a one-on-one opportunity between you and a financial coach to go over any financial needs or questions you may have, whether it's about, personal budgeting, like Jordy said, wanting to get into investing strategies, saving, loans, credit, all of that good stuff. We can definitely help you out with. And then we also build partnerships across campus. So a lot of our peer financial coaches right now are working with different student organizations on campus to get the message of financial literacy and wellness out to as many people as we can.
Totally. So let's talk about some learning outcomes for today. So, holidays can be a financial burden, they really drive up expenses, but they don't have to be. Today we're going to talk about how to learn to prepare for large expenses, and more specifically, how to create a holiday budget. And then, perhaps learn some cost-effective alternatives to try to cut down on the expenses for the holiday.
Yeah. So first things first, we want to talk about is what does your budget look like? And if you do or don't have a budget. So this is a financial assessment of your situation. And you always want to look at that before planning to spend more. So, around this time for Valentine's Day is perfect to be planning ahead. You kind of want to look a month in advance before Christmas, always kind of planning ahead for holidays. And so you'll refer or even create your budget before you start making those big spends.
So how can you actually create a budget, right? So you want to use the worksheet we're going to provide. I think Natasha could put that in the chat for us. And using that, we can sort of take a look at our income, which we'll talk about in a sec, and our how much we're spending, and sort of create a budget to prepare ourselves for large expenses. So I think most specifically a budget, you got to consider needs versus wants, fixed expenses versus variable expenses, right? Like, utilities versus a Starbucks breakfast, right? One of these is a need, one of them is a want. And then, so some basics, how to start budgeting to keep track. You got to keep track of all spending for a week at a time, and then eventually work way up to a month at a time, and sort of understand once you get a hang of, your spending habits and what they kind of look like. So some good resources you can use, Mint or Pluto, are safe phone apps that connect to your debit cards and sort of automatically manage or automatically present how much you're spending, right? Mm-hmm. You can also use a notebook to just track save your receipts and track your income and how much you're spending every week, and then on a monthly basis. You can also use Excel spreadsheet if you're more interested in that. I know that's what I use. And then also I should mention that Natasha and I actually have a full workshop we've already done about budgeting specifically, and you can go check that out on our YouTube page. Wow, come on, our YouTube, which we'll show you guys at the end. So yeah, let's hop into more about budgeting.
Yeah, and I'll add too, Jordy. So that worksheet that I just sent in the chat, it actually goes pretty in depth as to what a budget can look like. So you can look at the different options as for, spendings and incomes and really make it your own. So we like to send that out just as a good guideline, a good start point, and you can look at the different breakdowns of expenses that they have and really tailor it to yourself and your current financial situation. So just because someone spends a lot of money, on dry cleaning doesn't mean that you dry clean your clothes at all. So that would be something that, you don't need to keep in your budget. But say maybe you do spend money on sports equipment. That's something to consider. So just really look at yourself and make your own personal assessment as to what you spend money on.
First thing you want to do is identify your monthly income, right? So that could be your part-time earnings. If you have a job on or off campus, your available savings. So let's say the budget's a little more this month and you got to dip into your available savings. That's totally cool. That's part of your monthly income. Any family contributions, if you get any family aid, that's your monthly income as well. And finally, student loans. I think a lot of people, are on student loans, and that's definitely a part of your money every week that you get to, or month that you get to work with.
Yeah. So then once you kind of start your budget, you have a good idea of how much money you're spending, per week, per month. You've identified some sort of income, whether that's coming from the different places that Jordy just mentioned. You now want to compare that income versus your expenses. So if it looks like you'll have a little bit of wiggle room, then that's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and start spending for holidays. But if it's looking a little tight or you want to find some more, financially feasible options, we're going to go ahead and give you some cost-effective alternatives. Just a few for now.
I also want to mention about the cost-effective alternatives. It's like they might seem like pretty simple, but things build up, right? If you do multiple cost-effective alternatives, you actually can save a significant amount. So it's a lot more than just like a simple thing here or there. Combined, they really actually do change your spending habits for the better. So the first one is dinner at home. That's a pretty obvious one, but there's some good reasons. You can provide a more intimate bonding experience if for you and a partner, or if you're doing it with a group of people. It definitely is a more memorable experience than necessarily going out, or maybe you're ordering it. And then you can have fun looking at recipes online. I know that's what I'll be doing. I'm definitely not a good cook, so I will be looking up online to sort of get my bearings. And then, dinners at home can typically lead to more meals per cost than restaurants. Yeah. So if you just, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with this. If you eat out, it costs a lot more ultimately. So making food at home is a really surefire way to save some good amount of money.
Yeah, so flowers definitely seem to be a Valentine's Day necessity. So they can also be very pricey, especially, depending on who you're buying them from. So we suggest, doing what you should always do when looking for the most cost-effective option is to shop around and compare deals. So compare, places like Safeway, Trader Joe's, Highlands, other, local pharmacies and stores, and definitely find the cheapest option for you. Definitely avoid florists or online vendors or, big people that only sell on Valentine's Day. Those are typically going to have, high cost delivery charges, an added tip or fee, and you really want to avoid those. And then another thing to consider is plants have recently become very popular. I know a lot of my friends love plants, love taking care of their plants. And so those can tend to be a little bit less expensive than flowers, and they'll last a lot longer and definitely still make a great gift.
And then finally, just sort of a general gifts idea, right? So make your own. If you are definitely a crafty person, that can be a big help on Valentine's Day. So you can get crafty with items, already found around the house. And then sort of you can use Pinterest. I know a lot of people use that as sort of a touch point for getting a lot of sort of influence on what you can do. And then handmade cards, I think, are such an important part of Valentine's Day. People, go to immediately. I know that when I get something, I'd prefer it to be like include a card at a minimum. I feel like there's a lot of good sentiment in cards, and I think it's a really powerful way to give someone a gift without spending a ton of money.
Yeah, so I was going to show this, Jordy. So this is a card, a handmade card that my roommate made us for Thanksgiving. Literally just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. She folded in half, did her own writing, a personal note inside, something that I, still cherish and love, and I keep it in the front of my binder. And it was probably made super, super cheaply, but with a lot of, heart and intention. So just things like that can definitely go a long way, but you can get super cheap. Yeah, and so there's always the earn more alternative. So if you find, that whatever source of income that you have isn't quite enough, you're not able to cut your spending down enough, you can always look at adding to your income. So quick ways to earn a little quick cash, just things that we came up with. You're not necessarily going to just find a job to keep for 2 weeks in order to afford a holiday, but you just want to kind of get a little more ground. So DoorDash, Postmates, all of those delivery services have become super easy to join, super easy to make some money. Collect cans. We're in Oregon, 10 cents a can. So collect those, wash cars, tutor, and then offer services to your parents or family. If you're particularly good at anything, a lot of time my family will ask me for computer help or, doing something online for them. And that's something that I think all of us can do. And you can definitely offer those services to the people around you.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a budget example here, and so this is Natasha wrote this. This is like an example of a monthly budget she might see. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we can see here my money in. So this is going to be where I've identified my income. So although I don't have a job or a part-time paycheck, my income is my student loan deposit going to my bank account. So that is still money coming in towards me that I will be spending. So $700 a month. Then when we look at my money out, right off the bat, my rent is $500. So, and then I spend about 150, tend to spend that on groceries per month. I save about, $15 for an Uber or two if I need it, and then save about $35 for dining, entertainment. That's any shopping that I want to do or any time that I eat out with friends. And so we see that my money left over after those, kind of expenses that I have is really nothing. So we're going to try and see what I can do to get some wiggle room in order to afford a good Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of specifically looking at that budget, like what can we work with there? I know it's a kind of a tight looking, it's kind of a sort of a tight on the money front there, with maybe playing around trying to see what we can allocate for gifts. And rent and groceries are needs, right? You can't re-argue your lease halfway through. And you definitely, for groceries, 150 a month, I think is already getting to the point where you really can't shave a lot more off of that. That's kind of getting to a point where maybe you can, but that's kind of a, need minimum at that point. So does she need to Uber? What small changes can she make? Maybe you avoid the Uber this month. And I would say take public transport, but that might not be the best, alternative. And with, COVID and everything. So maybe you could bike or walk places. Maybe you and a friend, partner up and walk places if you need to go there instead. Definitely save. I know $15 doesn't seem like a lot, right? But if you take that off the Uber and then maybe you make a couple changes to how you're shopping with the entertainment fund, then you could really pool some money together. So can she spend dining entertainment in a new way? Natasha loves Amazon and Dutch Bros, right? So what you want to do instead, maybe is you can see how instead of that Amazon and Dutch Bros for yourself, you can just reallocate that entertainment fund to be for gifts, right? Or in some ways spend it on someone else during the holiday season. And then that way you can sort of play with the money you already have and then allocate it somewhere else. And then shop for deals, right? That's a big one, definitely. When you're looking to buy a gift for someone else or, anything for yourself, really, you always want to shop around for the best deal. I think often people, make a quick purchase on Amazon. They think, oh, it's the best price. But if you look around, you can often find it for a lot less.
Yeah, so definitely another thing that like Jordy and I always want to stress is when holidays come around or you're gift shopping, a lot of it can seem overwhelming and like this huge burden on your shoulder. But we really want to emphasize, just taking a look at yourself, what you spend money on, and really making these small changes that can definitely add up over time for the month to afford those gifts that you want or, those kind of special occasions that you'd like to have. So exactly how Jordy said, my Amazon and my Dutch Bros, maybe paying it forward or, saying, hey, I want to take my friend out for coffee today, as opposed to just buying 2 drinks for myself, throughout the month period. So really making those little personal changes that, you can make will add up and help a lot in the long run.
All right. Yeah. So just in summary, holiday expenses aren't a burden if you plan ahead, always, right? And I think that's sort of, if you meet with any of us on a one-on-one, I think some of the first advice you'll get is budget. You want to try to plan ahead, definitely. It's better to know where your money's going to go than wonder where it all went at the end of the month. It actually reduces stress. There's a lot of really good arguments that we can tell you in a one-on-one. So create a budget and use it. We kind of went over that again. There's another workshop on the YouTube channel that's really, I think, goes a lot better into detail about how to make a budget, and we kind of worked with that. And then finally, seek cost-effective alternatives. It might seem obvious, but I think it's something you really want to stress. If you make a couple changes to your budget and how much you're spending every month during the holiday season, you can find money that you didn't know you had.
But yeah, we suggest you guys visit our website if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one appointment, or, just kind of talk to someone more in depth about either this topic or anything else financially. Our website's right there, financialwellness.uoregon.edu. Talk with us one-on-one. We'll have appointments available throughout the duration of winter term, and then starting up again for spring term after spring break. Yep. And here's our YouTube channel. So UO Financial Wellness, our Instagram and Twitter at UO Fin Wellness, and then our email and our website once again. And please, speak out, type in the chat if you have any questions about this or anything else that you think you could learn from. But it was a pleasure having you guys. We hope you were able to take something away. And, just to stress again, holidays do not have